Hi, my name is Dan Brody, and I want to talk to you about the number one obstacle that gets in the way of people who want to succeed. People just like you. And you know what it is? It's themselves. I know that sounds really simple, but think about it for a moment. You are standing in your own way, and that's not a bad thing to realize, because once you know what's getting in your way, I can show you how to get out of your way and let yourself succeed. You know, Street Smart Financing says that 99% of those people that want to succeed at opening up their own franchise never even do. They don't fail at the business. They fail even before they start a business. How come only 1% gets to succeed? Why can't you be part of that 1%? I'm going to show you how you can. So first off, with age doesn't just come wisdom. It also comes glasses. All right, so the question is why do some people succeed and other people don't? Right? What is the big difference? And the answer is they learn how to control their FUD. FUD, F-U-D, is your fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And it builds inside of everyone, right? Everyone deals with it. But how we deal with it or how we experience it eventually after learning how to control it is completely different. And it makes all the difference. You ever hear of aticophobia? Probably not. But you know what that is? That's the fear of failure. And it is a real fear. I mean, it's actually a condition that paralyzes some people. And other people learn to take that fear of failure and spin it around 180 degrees. Their fear of failing makes them push forward rather than step back. I want you to realize something. And that is that if you do not make the effort, you have 100% chance of failure. A lot of people think the opposite. They think that, well, if I don't make the effort, then I can't fail because I never tried. But if your objective is to succeed, right, then not succeeding is absolute failure. And so not trying results in 100% chance of not succeeding. On the other side, as soon as you make an effort, even a little effort, as soon as you make an effort, bam, your chances of succeeding are unbelievable, exponentially greater. So just by making an effort, you're increasing your chances many times over. Think about that. And I want to tell you another thing. When you think that everything is stacked against you, when you think that your fear is a reality, that you can't make the effort because your fear is something that's real, I want you to think of something that Bert Bell once said. He was the old commissioner of the NFL. And he said that any given Sunday, somebody could win. Sure, there are great teams, there are bad teams, but still on any given Sunday, somebody can succeed. And that somebody can be you, if you make the effort. And now I have your first exercise I want you to work on. And that is, I want you to write down 3 legitimate fears that you have. And I don't mean existential fears like the fear of no afterlife. I mean real fears. It could be the fear of spiders. It could be the fear of heights, the fear of flying, or the fear of asking a specific someone out on a date because you're afraid of rejection. These are real fears. And I'm not saying we're going to cure you of these fears, but I want you to appreciate the power of FUD, fear, uncertainty and doubt, and how it can paralyze you or stop you from doing something that you want, and to give you a little bit of an inkling as to how you can turn it around and use it as a motivator, how you can control it potentially. We're not going to cure you of arachnophobia, the fear of spiders, or any other fear necessarily, but it's important for you to address this before we get into understanding how fear can stop you from succeeding in business. Okay, so let's take, for example, your fear of flying, right? You write down the fear of flying, and then next to it, I want you to write down 3 to 5 reasons that you are afraid. So one could be, I'm afraid of flying. I'm not, but I'm afraid of flying because I'm afraid that the plane is going to go down in a fiery, ball of flames. And that is a legitimate fear. But then next to that, I want you to look up the logical response. I want you to look up the logical response. And that is, how many planes go down every year compared to how many car accidents there are every year? How many people die by airplane crashes compared to how many planes fly every year? Do a little work and do a little research. It's okay. Because I want you to see in black and white right in front of you that there is a logical side that should overpower your emotional fear. Doesn't mean that your emotional fear is not real. It's just, you need to see that in black and white. And the more you can address that there is a logical response to an emotional fear, the more you're going to understand how powerful FUD is. So the more you will appreciate addressing FUD can help you with success.
I want to tell you a little story about someone who realized their fear, was able to overcome their fear. Her name was Michelle Hoskins. She was also called the Syrup Queen. And Michelle had gotten a recipe from her mom on how to make some amazing maple syrup. She was selling it to a lot of small stores in and around her neighborhood, but she had never approached a big boy, never approached one of the big businesses. And it's a little intimidating to do that. She didn't want to put all of her eggs in one basket. So you know what she did? She said, I'm going to take a little bite off this big opportunity, and I am just going to make a small effort. That way, it wouldn't be a big failure. She'd make a small effort, and that small effort was one phone call that she decided she would make every Tuesday to Denny's. Denny's, one of the largest breakfast chains in the country, right? And she decided she'd just make one call and see if maybe they'd take a meeting, and if not, you know, that's fine. How big of a failure is it? Not that big. So she minimized her potential failure, and she made that call, and they rejected her. So what did she do next? She went ahead, and the next week rather, she made another call, just like the one previously, and fell on deaf ears again. And she kept doing it. She didn't give up. She made these little efforts, and one by one, she kept failing. She became a consummate failure. She called them every week for 2 years. And you know what eventually happened? After failing, she got good at failing. She didn't mind failing. It became something that was not going to hold her back. She was going to keep doing it every week, and she did every week until one day, a new CEO stepped into the position, caught wind of this crazy woman who was calling every single week, and said, well, why don't we just call her in and see what she's so passionate about? And when she went in there, she had the meeting and walked out with a $3 million contract. Just imagine if from the beginning she'd given in to her FUD, her fear of failure, her potential to not succeed. And just imagine how many times along those 2 years she must have said to herself, I gotta give up. This is just not gonna work. But she didn't. She persisted because she knew how to stare her FUD in the face and say, I have nothing to lose here. She compartmentalized it. She broke it down to a simple call every week. She realized logically that fear would do nothing for her. That if she didn't make the effort, she had a 100% chance of failure. So she made the effort, and she succeeded 3 million times over. So now you have your list of 3 fears of yours that you can look at, right? You can realize what these fears are, and you can start to break them down so you can appreciate your FUD and appreciate how you can look at it a little bit more logically. Now let's take a look at business-related concerns or fears, right? What are some of the things that are holding you back? And I want to tell you that you will never be as creative as you are when we come up with potential opportunity concerns or fears. We become really creative when it comes to our own fears. We start thinking about all kinds of things when it comes to whether or not we can succeed. And the first thing that we start to think about is there's too much competition. Everyone else might be able to do it, but I can't because there's so many people in the space already. Or what about employees? How am I going to wrangle them in? How am I going to stop them from stealing? I know that employees, there's so many of them, and there's just one of me. How will I be able to manage them? How am I going to find them to begin with? How am I going to find the right staff? Yes, everybody else does it. Yes, there are literally hundreds of people working at your local, Costco. But you're afraid you're not going to be able to find just a few of the right type of people. Does that make sense logically? It certainly doesn't. But your fear can dig its nails into you and make it really hard for you to shake that.
Or how about the fact that you say to yourself, I don't know all the technological applications that a new business needs to be invested in. I don't know everything. How can I possibly learn it? It's going to be too complicated. Well, did you know everything you know now 10 years ago? Or did you learn things? Did you learn them out of necessity? Did you learn them because you are capable of learning things? Or maybe you'll wonder, where am I going to put, a new business? Rent is so expensive. Real estate is just going up. How could I possibly find a space that I could afford? Well, people do it, so it must be possible. Or maybe you think the opposite, that there's too little competition. And maybe if there's not enough competition, that says something about the business opportunity that I'm considering or what I want to do. Or maybe you're wondering if your customers are even going to be loyal. How could customers be loyal? Now, people aren't loyal these days anymore. Or maybe they're not loyal because trends are always changing. And what happens if I jump into this business and then the trends change and, well, there goes my business. Not to mention that there are businesses like McDonald's that have been around for 50, 60, 70 years and have moved with the trends and succeeded. What about the upfront costs? Oh, forget it. I don't even want to look at what the upfront costs are. That's going to be way too much. I'm afraid of what that expense is going to be. Or how about nobody's going to buy from me? I will open that first day and it will be crickets. There will be nobody there. These, and there are so many more fears that are going to start to percolate in your brain and scare you, because that's what fear does. Every one of those examples that I just gave you, there are tens of thousands of people every year that are addressing them and succeeding. It's not like everyone else hits the same concerns and fails. There are so many people that look at the exact same concerns and look them straight in the face and succeed. And that is the difference. And the same thing holds true for that 1% who are successful in starting their own franchise business and making their dreams come true, making a lot of money too, and leaving that 99% behind them in their dust, because what they realize is that they can't anticipate every obstacle, but what they can do is they can fine-tune their logical argument to overcome their emotional fears. And you can do the exact same thing and realize your goals and make it easier for you to flick away those emotional concerns, those emotional fears, because you will have a solid logical argument for why those should not bog you down.